Good morning. It is Monday, June 22nd. About 8:40 in the morning. Larry Cedar, I'm back with you for another session on scanning. A couple of changes today. The spelling of scanning is now just going to be the traditional scanning, S-C-A-N-N-I-N-G. That way I never have to explain again the difference between regular scanning and this. But basically we're still referring to scanning the body for pockets of muscular tension. And again, just to start us off, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. So we're going to do a session today, a little bit different. I have these sessions almost as much, while I adjust this, for myself as I do for anyone who happens to be listening, because as I practice, and I practice for thousands of hours, I have revelations. Things come to me about this process that seem to explain it even more fully. So that's what I'm going to do today. Again, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. We're going to move through the body, releasing pockets of muscular tension to induce a deep state of relaxation. This practice is based on the ideas of a man named Thaddeus Golas, G-O-L-A-S. I always say the book because if you happen to want to read it, I think you'll find it interesting. He wrote a book called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, in which he breaks the universe down into two basic processes: contraction, squeeze your hands together, and expansion, release. Everything in the universe can be explained, defined, described, assessed by looking at it through that prism, that explanation, that definition. Everything you see, yourself, everything you interact with, everything you observe or feel is either in a state of contraction, expansion, or alternating between the two. Likewise, in life, we alternate between states of expansion and contraction. It's what I call the expansion-contraction continuum. And we vacillate between those two states. And the ultimate goal is to be balanced, to have equal amounts of both, so that you are, as they call it, centered. And we hear these expressions in many types of meditation and self-help techniques, because we're all basically coming to the exact same realization. Thaddeus Golas says that. He says, we think we're so smart because we've figured out the key to the universe, but everyone's figuring it out in their own way, through their own path, and we're all going to eventually come to the exact same conclusion. And what that will be called, I don't know, but we're all heading in the same direction. So this is what I call it. This is my path. This is my journey to discovery. Obviously, everyone should take their own and find it, but I share what I've discovered in the hopes that it will be meaningful and helpful to anyone who's also on that path. Okay. So, this life we live on Earth as human beings, with our names, our jobs, our relationship, all the things we've built and discovered, these are what Thaddeus Golas calls structures. We've built structures. Out of nothing, we've brought together elements of materials, minerals, all sorts of elements of life, and made structures. And we live by these structures. It's what we define as life. I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I have a cup of coffee, I go to work. I have a name, I have a career, I have a bank account, I have relationships. These are structures we've built. This is through the process of contraction. The opposite is expansion, letting go, disintegrating, falling apart, becoming permeable, open, flexible, aware. So in life, when we tend to spend most of our day contracting, getting the job done, defining ourselves, pursuing careers, and so forth, we are contracting. We spend most of our time contracting. The problem with that is the more contracted you become, the more solid you become, the more impermeable you become, the less flexible you become. Now that's good. You need a good, strong structure to get through life. If you want to be a successful baseball player, you have to have learned how to hit a baseball. You have to work out. You have to practice that technique. We need to have structures to be successful in life, but we've all experienced a point in our day or our life when we feel overly contracted. How do you know? That's the time when you feel like, I need a drink. I need to smoke a joint. I need to expand. Now, alcohol, marijuana, whatever, these are chemical expansions. So we seek expansion as a way to bring ourselves back into balance. Scanning is a natural way to attain a state of expansion, to bring yourself back into that centered state. And it is done through the simple process of muscular release. Squeeze your hand, 3, 2, 1, release. Because the muscles can either contract or expand. It's the perfect binary. It's the perfect metaphor for this process. You can either contract or expand. You can't do both at the same time. By circumventing the mind, the brain, the thought process, which is contracted, which is what a lot of meditated processes are about, By circumventing that and going straight to the musculature, we have a direct path to expansion. All we need to do is release muscular tension, and we brought ourselves into an expanded state. Because you can't contract and expand at the same time, any amount of expansion moves the dial. And the reason we say incremental release of muscular tension in scanning is because it's cumulative. So no matter how small the release, it is moving you in the right direction. So in scanning, you will repeatedly cycle through your body, releasing pockets of tension, and gradually, slowly, your body will begin to give into that process until you come to a more balanced, more expanded state. It's very important to remember that no amount of muscular release is too small, because you can't contract and expand at the same time. Any expansion brings you into a more expanded state. So for example, squeeze your hands together, tight, tight, tight. 3, 2, 1, release. 3, 2, 1, release. Take a breath. So you are now in a ever so slightly more expanded state. What's required in this process of scanning is patience and discipline, because you won't feel that expansion immediately. But as you practice, gradually, slowly, you'll begin to feel yourself, your body, your mind relax. That's why you need to practice. You say, what about all my thoughts? What about all the obsessive thoughts I have going through my brain that I can't quiet? Well, forget the brain, the mind. Concentrate on the musculature. When you put your full concentration into release of muscular tension, it's almost impossible to contract thoughts at the same time. Furthermore, as your body overall becomes more released, more expanded, it affects the mind, which like a muscle holds onto thoughts tightly. And as it begins to relax and release, it lets go of its grip on those thoughts and they simply float away. And you're left in a state of expansion which feels like nothing. A state of nothingness, emptiness, openness, calm. Now what I want to add today, which I became aware of in this week's sessions, my own sessions, is that, and I've mentioned this before, if you think of yourself as flowing down a river in some shape or form, either as a block of wood or as water, as you come to an obstacle, if you are a block of wood, if you are contracted, you will slam up against that obstacle. That's conflict. That creates anxiety, tension, unhappiness, pain. If you think of yourself rather as water, what happens when you come across that rock? You flow around it. You feel less pain. You feel more at one with the universe. You allow whatever is happening to happen and deal with it accordingly. You need to go around, so you do it. You go over, you do it. So you have options. Generally speaking, in life, when you are more contracted, life is more difficult because you have less flexibility, less permeability. You have fewer options. You are less able to choose a path. When you are expanded, like water, you have more options. You can flow this way, that way, over, under. You can even go into something and yet pass around it. So what you want to do with scanning is move yourself into the most expanded state possible so life is less full of conflict. You just flow through life. So when you bring yourself into an expanded state, you've made yourself more permeable. And you might think of that the next time you're not feeling well, you're feeling bad, you might think, I'm in a fairly contracted state. I keep slamming up against things, ideas, thoughts, people, processes. Everything is difficult today. Everything is just difficult, and I don't know why. Consider the possibility that you are in a contracted state and you are simply slamming up against life rather than navigating it, going through it, going over it, or around it. When you are in a more expanded state, you become that more permeable, more flexible, more open person. So I might suggest that you begin looking at your life through that prism. Am I more contracted or am I more expanded? And if I am contracted, how can I bring myself to a more expanded state? As I said, the typical methods are, I'm going to have a beer. I'm going to smoke a joint. Chemical expansion. To a degree it works, but there are side effects. Natural form of expansion is scanning, the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, the muscles, emotional, and mental calm. So let's start. So we're going to start again just by the basic fundamentals. Sit in the chair, squeeze your hands together, tight, 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 as tight as you can, and feel what that feels like to contract. You feel tighter, you feel the stress, perhaps your blood pressure goes up a little bit, you feel focused and concentrated, okay? Now on my count, on my 3, 2, 1 count, you're going to completely release that. Sit back and take a deep breath. 3, 2, 1, and release. What's important is that you note the contrast between those two. You're going to build a heightened awareness of the difference between how it feels to be contracted and expanded. So when you're well practiced in the practice of scanning, you'll at any moment begin to say, I'm more contracted, I can feel it. Or I'm more expanded, I can feel it. Because if you can understand and feel it, experience it, you can more readily move yourself into the state of your choice. And again, in life, you will need to move into a more contracted state to execute a task, or to build something, or to identify something, or write something. That's a more contracted state. You will need to do that. There's nothing wrong with contraction until you are overly contracted. But you'll become aware, as you practice scanning, of a sensitivity to your own state of being. And you'll be able to assess, where am I? How can I change that to my benefit? No one wants to feel bad. No one wants to feel restricted or limited or incapable of performing their tasks. And if you feel rigid in that way, then you might be overly contracted, and you might consider, if nothing else, sitting down, taking a deep breath, sitting in stillness and silence, and expanding. And then come back to your task. So let's get started. We're going to move through what are called the muscular zones. Again, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension. So we're not going to do it all at once. We're going to go through the body, and we're going to tune into whatever muscular tension we feel or can assess, and then on my count, let it go. Let it go. You've just scanned. And we're going to continue that through the body. When we get to the end, the last muscular zone, we're going to start again. You could do this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour, hour. But I promise you that the hardest part is the start, the beginning. Because when you are contracted, contraction wants to contract. It does not want to let go. When it's doing its job, it wants to stay contracted. This is decades of habit. You've built the habit of contraction as a solution, as a means of solving any number of issues in your life. You don't want to let go because you feel like you will fall apart and fail. That's why the expression, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. Well, sometimes you have to let it all go. And you need to trust that. So we're going to start with zone 1, the face. On my count, you're going to release all the muscular tension in your face. 3, 2, 1, and release. You see how it goes into almost slouching. I always say look in a mirror when you start, because you'll see the change. You want to, again, be able to identify, clearly identify and experience that shift so that you can do it on demand when you need to. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. And just feel what that feels like. You've just expanded. Again, can't contract and expand at the same time. You just expanded. You've moved the dial. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. Stillness and silence. Stillness and silence are expansive because the opposite of stillness is action, doing. So when you are still, you have stopped, you've moved in an expansive direction. Silence is expansive because the opposite of silence is what? Speaking, making noise, contraction. So when you are silent, you've turned off that process and you are in a state of nothingness, which is a state of expansion. The ultimate expansion would be the end of us. Nobody wants to die. We want to live. We want to live our life. You don't want to go to that extreme any more than you want to go to this extreme. But when you let go, you've moved yourself towards a place of release, nothingness. Now, you can't go about your life in a state of nothingness. You have to go back to contracting, but it's okay to move yourself in that direction. Again, what you want is a balance. Zone 1, the face, 3, 2, 1, and release. Moving into zone 2, the top of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. If you don't feel that or understand that shift now, just having started this practice, that's natural. Work on the areas where you do feel it. It's encouraging to know that you can make this shift. It's frustrating to find you can't. One of the aspects of scanning is you will feel frustration because you'll want to expand, but your body will be holding on. You'll want to stay contracted. So you're really up against yourself. That's what they always say. The only true battle is the one with yourself in life. But you, again, are up against decades of habit, habitual contraction. So be patient and be disciplined and diligent. Top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. And if you're wondering, what does that feel like? Well, just do this. 3, 2, 1, and release. You're going to feel the same thing up here. 3, 2, 1, and release. Let it go. Let go, let go, let go. Deep breath. Zone 3 is the back of the head, and I'm moving through these fairly quickly just for instructional purposes, but take as much time as you wish or can. The more time, the better in your own practice. The back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. Most muscular pain, anywhere in the body, the neck, the back, anywhere, is due to the body rushing into a state of contraction to protect itself. When the body senses danger or injury, it grips, holds on. It says to you, stop moving. I'm injured. I'm in danger. I need you to stop doing so that I can heal. The problem is, once it gets a hold of that grip, it doesn't want to let go. So a lot of muscular tension and pain and discomfort can be alleviated by gently coaxing your body, the muscles, into a state of release, letting go. And you have to tell the body, you'll be okay, you'll be safe, but you have to let go of this because it's limiting my ability to function in life. Must be patient. The muscles are fairly dumb. They do what they do out of instinct, but you have the capacity to influence them to do the opposite. Zone 3, again, the back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. If you feel yourself slouching into your chair, letting go, that's good. I know posture is considered a good thing, but in the practice of scanning, don't concern yourself with that. Slouch into your chair, just release. You want to become a bowl of jelly. You want to have all your muscles, in effect, this switch is turned off. They're not making any kind of effort or exerting any kind of energy. They're just existing. 3, 2, 1, the back of the head, and release. Unbeknownst to us, we tend to go through our day carrying a certain amount of muscular tension, whether we're aware of it or not, which is why we're frequently exhausted at the end of maybe just sitting at a desk all day, because we've been holding on. You'd be amazed how much more energy you'll have when you start to scan, because your muscles won't be exerting unnecessary energy. When you have nothing to do, you will truly be able to allow your body to go into a state of nothingness and take advantage of that true rest. True rest is not using the muscles at all. This is why people are deceived when they say, I want to go relax. They go turn on the TV or go online, scan the web, browse the web. That's not relaxing. That's creating more tension. So it diverts you from thinking about whatever problems you're having. You think that's helping you. But in effect, what it's doing is it's keeping you in that contracted state. So when you scan, you really, truly need to step away from everything. No distractions. Focus completely on your musculature and letting go of muscular tension. Go to a place of nothingness, where you have no name, you have no job, you have no bank account, you have no obligations or concerns. You're just existing. It's what I call the original state, the state we were in when we were born. We had no job, no money. We had a name, but not really. We were just a creature, breathing, experiencing what it is to just be alive. That's an expanded state. Zone 4 is the neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. All you're looking for is that slight shift from this to this, from this to this. I would say anyone who is an expert, shall we say, in scanning is an expert at identifying and inducing that release. Release. The neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. And it may be the most subtle shift, but as long as there's that shift, you have expanded. Zone 5 is the shoulders, letting them drop. They're very associated with the breath, so it's difficult. Sometimes they're up around here. As you begin to let your shoulders drop, these muscles relax, you'll begin to find yourself breathing more freely. The shoulders, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. Let's go through the first 5 zones. The face, 3, 2, 1, and top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. The neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. The shoulders, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath. And sit for a moment in stillness and silence. Try not to move a muscle, but continue to breathe. And again, as you develop your focus, your discipline in scanning, you'll notice your mind suddenly becomes empty. When you put your full and absolute concentration into this process of muscular release, because it is a release process, you cannot contract at the same time. The moment at which you are releasing is a moment in which you have no thoughts. You can't form a thought. You can't contract when you are expanding. Now that's not absolutely completely true, but in general, if you're having this tug of war, when you're doing this, you can't do this. So just be aware of that. It's in effect a silencer. Scanning is a silencer. It can silence your brain, which in and of itself can be relaxing. Zone 6 is the chest, the stomach, front of the waist. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. I call this the plate of armor. Most of our muscular tension is a form of defense, self-defense. We're creating a kind of suit of armor to protect ourselves against perceived threats, mental, physical, emotional, or otherwise. We just seize up. It's a natural human instinct. We do it all day long. We have a problem, an issue comes up, what do? We tense up, tense up. So that's a natural and useful protective state. What you have to do is, again, retrain yourself, retrain your body to understand that it's okay to release. In most situations, there's really no threat. It's a perceived threat. It's in your mind. So you have to learn to go against that and let go. And again, you'll find that most of these areas of muscular tension, when they are released, you'll find yourself wanting to take a breath. Because associated with holding or tension or contraction is holding of your breath. We tend to walk around in life oxygen depleted. We just don't breathe enough. So as you start to relax and release, your body sees that it's safe to breathe. It feels okay. It will take the breath it's been longing for hours. So take those deep breaths and sit in stillness and silence. You've begun moving yourself into an expanded state. Zone 7 is down the back. These are larger zones because we've warmed up. Down the back, into the waist, and all-important pelvis. The pelvic region is very sensitive. We tend to protect ourselves there because it's the area of sexuality and waste elimination. Very sensitive. We're embarrassed. We have desires. We have suppressed desires. We have, all sorts of issues. So we tend to clench in the area to, again, keep it together. So as you release down the back and into the pelvis, you might find yourself a little uncomfortable, at risk of embarrassment or revealing feelings. But you're in a room by yourself. It's safe. There's no risk. Take a breath. And on my count, release the tension in your pelvic region. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, that's typically a clenching feeling that you're just letting go. The pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. The snap isn't necessary. It's just a way of kind of creating an artificial switch that turns off the power to those muscles. The muscles are like this. You turn the switch, they go, oh, that's scanning. Okay? One more time, the pelvic region, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, these small incremental releases are cumulative. Don't be frustrated by the small size of these changes. It's a tiny shift, but it's cumulative. If you can spend some time, 15 minutes, a half an hour, you will see, you'll start to build up momentum towards an expanded state. Until at one point, when you are successfully scanned, you'll feel a release like you've never felt. You will sink into your chair and you go, I don't have to do anything or think anything. I just exist. All I'm aware of is the beating of my heart, the sounds in the room, the air on my skin, the sensations, emotions that I'm experiencing. That's an expanded state. Now then you can go back into your contractive processes because you've opened yourself up to your possibilities. You're a fuller person. Your potential has been realized. Because when we are restricted, our potential is limited. When you are released and open and available, you have unlimited potential. You have everything that's been made available to you as a human being is available to you in the world because you've taken off the bands, the ropes, the things that have tied you up. The last zone is down the legs, across the knees, and into the feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. Feet are very important, very sensitive and strong at the same time, carry your entire weight, and yet have incredible sensitivity. If you've ever been tickled on the feet, you know that. So they're very complicated, but if you can release tension in your feet, you will have helped heal your entire body, because if you've ever studied reflexology, many of the particular areas of the feet are associated with the organs of the body. So you can, in effect, heal yourself by releasing tension and letting the blood flow freely into the feet. 3, 2, 1, the feet, and go. The feet again, 3, 2, 1, and release. You may experience, as you begin to expand, tingling, throbbing. Tingling because the nerves are being allowed to function fully. They're experiencing sensations again. They're not restricted by the muscles, so you may feel a tingling as the feeling comes back into these various muscles. You may also feel a throbbing. As you relax, the blood vessels open up. The blood can flow and pump more freely, and areas which had restricted blood flow suddenly are flush with blood, and that's the throbbing. So all these are indications and signs that you have expanded. And again, going back to the point I made earlier, Just assess in your life. If you're feeling tense, if you're obsessively worried about something or thinking, you've entered a contracted state. You are solid, so you are slamming up against life like a block of wood against a rock in a river. So your go-to solution, if you practice scanning, is to start letting go of muscular tension until you turn to water and flow through life. And suddenly everything becomes easier. Issues which were points of contention, serious points of contention, suddenly are solvable because you've made your potential available. Your eyes are open to all the possibilities. You are more sensitive to others. You're more conscious of your options. You are water flowing across rocks as opposed to slamming into them. So make scanning your go-to solution as opposed to thinking about something, as opposed to stressing about something. The minute you're in a contracted state, go, okay, I need to take a moment and release some muscular tension. And again, you won't feel immediate results. You're up against your habitual self. You've been conditioned to constantly contract. It's just the habit. And again, thought is a contraction. So you've been conditioned. If I have an issue, I have to think about it. I have to tense up about it. I have to fret about it. I have to think about the past. I have to think about the future. This is our conditioned response to challenges. So you're reconditioning yourself to go, wait a minute, here's a problem. You know what? I'm going to first relax. I'm going to let go of muscular tension. 3, 2, 1, the face, top of the head, the neck, back of the head. However you do it, take a moment, take a breath. There's not even necessarily a hurry to get back to whatever issue it was. That's one of the side effects of contraction is time becomes very important because time is a structure. So you feel an immediate need to solve, to deal with issues. That's why we get into a panic, because it hasn't been dealt with yet. When you're expanded, time has no meaning. Time is a structure we've created to allow ourselves to coordinate our lives. But when you take time away, it's just now. So things that felt like an immediate threat or an immediate obligation, suddenly there's time. In fact, if you say time doesn't exist, there's just the problem and there's me. Let's think about it for a while. Take the time that was taken away from you and give it back to yourself. Give yourself all the time in the world. Now, of course, time matters, but we usually have more time than we think we do. When you're in a panic, time is everything. When you're expanded, time is relative. So again, in an expanded state, there's no me, there's no you, there's no names, there's no obligations or concerns, there's no time, there's just now. From that place, you would be amazed at how capable you become. Because as I said, you've opened up all the options. You've seen all the possibilities. So you're more effective in dealing with the challenges of your life. Again, all we're doing is moving from a state of contraction into a state of expansion through the incremental release of muscular tension. It is the simplest technique to learn. It is so simple. All you're doing is this. 3, 2, 1, and release. That's all you're doing. What's challenging is going up against your contractive habitual self, which doesn't want to release. So the more you practice, the better you will get at it. And there will be days when it's easy, and there will be days when it's hard. But the object is to continually practice until it becomes a part of your life, and you begin to look at life through the prism of the expansion-contraction continuum. And you see everything as somewhere on that continuum, and you feel yourself capable of changing where you are on that continuum through the simple incremental release of muscular tension. So take a deep breath. Sit for a moment in stillness and silence. And just take a moment to reflect on how different you may feel from when we started the session. For some of you, you may have moved the dial this much. For some, it may have been this much, others this much. And there's no judgment. If you've expanded at all, you have succeeded. So never come away frustrated from these sessions. Any amount of expansion has value. It's like a drop of using an eyedropper to fill a bucket. It may take a while, but eventually that bucket will be filled. And the water doesn't go away. It stays in the bucket. When you start adding expansion to your life, you're bringing expansion into your life. It's becoming a part of your life. The only thing you have to do is decide to do that. And I think that's it for today. Again, it's called scanning. And now we just do the regular spelling, S-C-A-N-N-I-N-G, as in scanning the body for muscular tension. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. It is not meditation per se. It is a physical practice. You're dealing with the musculature, not the mind. There's no quote-unquote quieting of the mind. There's no mantra. There's no bring yourself to a place of nothingness. There's no mental attempt to achieve that. You're doing it through the musculature. That is the beauty of it. As long as you're alive, you will have muscles. God willing, they all work. And you can always take a muscle group, take it from a state of contraction into a state of expansion. It's the simplest thing. You just did it. You just scanned. So all you want to do is you want to increase that practice. Keep a journal. Monitor how many minutes, hours a day you practice. You will know, you will see, the more you practice, the better you will be at it, the more satisfaction you will gain from the practice. And that's it for today. Message me if you have any questions. I'm happy to do private sessions. Thanks for coming by. See you next time. Bye-bye.